Republicans in Tennessee are hoping that a confluence of events will lead to a total red wave in November, after tossing their old congressional map for one that, guess who, Donald Trump prefers. A reminder, Republican lawmakers in Tennessee approved a new map during a special legislative session earlier this year, and they signed it into law a few months before this week's primaries. The Supreme Court made it easy for them to do that, after a majority of the justices gutted parts of the Voting Rights Act, narrowing the ability for states to use race as a determining factor in creating election districts. And Tennessee Republicans, they wasted no time at all. It took the state legislature 1 week to pass a new congressional map after that Supreme Court decision. And now this, check it out, is what midterm candidates are working with. On the left, that is Tennessee's old map, still pretty red, with a pop of blue way over there in the bottom left-hand corner, 8 Republican-held districts, 1 Democratic district. That sole Democratic district, the previous 9th district, is anchored heavily in Memphis, a majority black district held by Democrat Steve Cohen for 2 decades. On the right, yep, that is the new map, all red. It slices through Memphis, where most of the state's black voters live, effectively eliminating the state's only Democratic district and diluting black voting power. The Cook Political Report, which gives a rating on a sliding scale from solid Democrat to solid Republican, sees all 9 races just that, solid red. This, of course, is all part of President Trump's strategy to use gerrymandering to hold on to the Republicans' teeny tiny majority in the House of Representatives in November. Tennessee's new map was put into action this week during the state's primary election, but the question now is, with the odds purposely this stacked against them, do Democrats there even stand a chance at all in November? Joining me now is Tennessee State Representative Justin J. Pearson. He is officially the Democratic nominee for the newly redrawn 9th Congressional District after winning his primary on Thursday. It's good to see you, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful, so humbled by the opportunity the voters have given me.
So, Representative Pearson, you told my good pal Ali Velshi, the former occupant of this time slot, that Republicans change the rules in the middle of the game because, you know they can't win without cheating. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that's what you said. Did I get that right? And how do you beat them now at their own game?
Exactly right. That Republicans had to change the rules because they know their positions are unpopular. Their decisions, from the Iran war to all of the financing that they're getting from corporations to fuel their campaigns, is not something that is improving the quality of lives of everyday Tennesseans and people across the country. The way that we win is the way we always win, with people power. We need folks who donate time and donate money, who help us to knock doors and to share our message that our job is to increase their wages, to lower their costs, to expand access to health care for everybody, to end these endless wars and stop toxic data centers. Our campaign is about building the working class and supporting people who have been locked out of opportunity by those who are in positions of power. And that message has been resonating across all 15 of the counties that we have visited and the people we have met there.
Like I said, the seat was solid blue at one point, and now it is just heavily tilting red. What kind of support do you want from the National Democratic Party to get this done?
Absolutely. We do need every Democrat to help us. And from the National Democratic Party, we have to invest in the South. The South cannot be an afterthought. 56% of Black African-American people live in the South. We are the most consequential group of Democratic voters. And too often we have been overlooked, underinvested in, and thought of as an afterthought because we're not a quote unquote swing state. But in places that you don't invest are places that you can't expect a return on investment. Look, I'm a candidate who doesn't take any corporate PAC money. I don't take any money from AIPAC. I don't take money from the AI data centers and crypto. And so we need the party to support Southern candidates, Southern Black candidates in particular, who have a progressive vision for this country that people are resonating to. White folks, Black folks, wealthier people, less wealthy people right here in Tennessee.
I heard echoes there of another candidate that I was just with, or at least covering the race of earlier in the week, Abdul El-Sayed up in Michigan, and you entered the race with a similar message that we saw by him, other progressive candidates across the country. The Democratic Party not only needs a new generation of leadership, but the places that you are taking money from and not taking money from, and the endorsements that you are looking for. You've earned the endorsements of Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. How much is that message resonating with voters in Tennessee?
I mean, the message that we have is really simple. The role of government is to improve the quality of your lives, and the status quo has failed to do that. We have too often the Democratic establishment, Republican establishment, people who are taking money from AIPAC, taking money from corporations, trading and selling stocks while they're elected officials. And we have to set a new course and a new direction for our country, which is increasing the minimum wage to $25, passing Medicare for all, stopping these toxic data centers from being built like the one Elon Musk has created and built in our community 3 miles away from my home. It is making sure that we end the gun violence epidemic and do everything that we possibly can to preserve this democracy. We just need to put forward our vision. And as I am finding across the state of Tennessee, people are responding to it. But if we are only listening to the billionaire class and the billionaire interests and the corporations and not listening to the people and the farmers who are in debt, we're not listening to the small business owners who are struggling to make ends meet, we will never be able to win in the South or win in the way that we need to across the country by lifting up those who are at the bottom to the top.
At the end of the day, this is about who's going to show up, and I'm curious what you've been hearing from people in the district, specifically people of color, about whether or not they understand the sort of the severity of this redistricting, and they understand that their vote very well may not matter now because of this redraw, or if they even feel that way, or if that's what you're reinforcing with them.
People are fired up, and what we are realizing is the power of our vote now more than ever. Honestly, we saw the highest increases in turnout since 2010 because we recognize that Republicans in the state of Tennessee want to take away our voice. They want to take away our vote. They want to take away our ability to create the state and the country that we deserve to live in. And as a 7th-generation Tennessean, I'm feeling more connected and more empowered to fight for my state than I ever have. In our election, we numerically got more people to vote for us than my opponent, Brent Taylor, because people are energized to fight for our country and to fight for our values. And we are going to allow this Republican legislature, the Cali decision, this captured Supreme Court, the President of the United States, or anybody else turn us around from what we know we deserve, which is a country that works for everybody, not just those who are at the top.
Thank you so much. Democratic State Representative Justin J. Pearson from Tennessee. He is currently running to represent the state's 9th district in Congress. I'm sure we will be talking to you again very soon. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Keep the faith, keep the fight.